It was the first day at the new school, and the air was filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. The new cheerleader walked through the crowded hallways, her backpack heavy on her shoulders, her heart beating fast. She had been preparing for this moment for weeks, thinking about how she would fit in, how the other students would see her, and how she would prove herself on the cheer team. She glanced at the lockers lining the hallway, noticing the chatter and laughter that echoed through the building. It was intimidating, but she straightened her back, reminding herself that she belonged there as much as anyone. She had always been disciplined, trained, and guided by her father, who had spent years preparing her not only physically but mentally for challenges. Even though she was just a teenager, she carried herself with a confidence that came from years of learning to face obstacles head-on. Her father had always told her that strength wasn't just about muscles, but about staying calm under pressure, thinking ahead, and never letting fear take control. That lesson had stayed with her, shaping the way she moved, spoke, and even breathed. As she approached the gym where cheer practice was held, she could hear the sounds of loud voices, sneakers squeaking on polished floors, and the occasional cheer shouted in unison. She felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She knew she had the skills, but she didn't know the personalities of the team members yet. The team was already established, and new members often had to prove themselves to earn trust and respect. She entered the gym and saw the other cheerleaders practicing routines, their movements synchronized and precise. She tried to observe quietly, hoping to blend in until she felt comfortable joining in. A few of the girls glanced at her, whispering among themselves, sizing her up. She smiled politely, trying to appear approachable, but she could feel the tension in the air. Some of the students weren't used to seeing someone like her, someone confident and athletic, walk into their space without hesitation. Her attention was drawn to a small group of students standing near the side, watching her with eyes that seemed to judge and calculate. She recognized them as the ones who had been rumored to cause trouble, the students who often picked on newcomers and anyone who seemed different. She felt a twinge of worry but reminded herself of her training. She knew that being aware of her surroundings and staying calm were just as important as her physical abilities. The coach called everyone together, and she introduced herself to the team. Her voice was steady, her tone friendly but firm. She explained that she was new and eager to learn, and that she hoped to contribute to the team's success. Some of the cheerleaders nodded politely, while others whispered to each other, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. She noticed that the group of bullies exchanged smirks, clearly sizing her up, but she didn't let it faze her. She had been trained to handle situations like this. Practice began, and she tried to follow the routines as best as she could. The moves were challenging, and she stumbled a few times, but she quickly corrected herself, determined not to give anyone an easy opening to mock her. She could feel the eyes of the bullies on her, and it made her focus sharper. She remembered her father's advice. Never show fear, always stay composed, and use your energy wisely. Each jump, spin, and cheer became a test of her ability to remain calm while under scrutiny. During a break, the bullies approached her, their expressions filled with mischief. They asked questions in a tone that seemed friendly but carried a hidden edge, trying to unsettle her. She answered politely, keeping her responses short and confident. She could tell that they were trying to provoke a reaction, to see if she would falter. She didn't. She remained calm, her posture upright, her gaze steady. She could feel a sense of pride swell inside her. This was exactly the kind of situation her father had prepared her for. As the day went on, she started to notice small acts of subtle bullying. Whispers behind her back, rolling eyes, and students intentionally bumping into her during practice. She didn't let it break her spirit. Instead, she used each moment to observe, learning patterns, noting weaknesses, and preparing herself mentally for what might come next. She knew that understanding the people around her was just as important as performing the routines perfectly. By the end of the day, she had made a few tentative friends who appreciated her dedication and skill. They offered encouraging words and shared tips about the routines. She felt grateful for the support, even though she knew she would face challenges in earning the respect of the entire team. She also understood that the bullies would continue to test her, but she was ready. She had the training, the mindset, and the resilience needed to handle whatever came her way. Walking home that evening, she reflected on the day's events. The nerves she had felt in the morning were replaced with a quiet determination. She knew this was only the beginning, that the journey would be difficult, and that she would need every lesson her father had taught her. She reminded herself that true strength came from preparation, self-control, and the courage to face challenges head-on. Her father met her at the door, noticing the slight weariness in her eyes but also the glimmer of pride. He asked her how her first day went, and she shared bits and pieces of her experiences, careful to leave out the moments where she had felt intimidated. He nodded knowingly, offering words of encouragement and reinforcing the importance of staying disciplined, observing carefully, and never underestimating anyone. She listened intently, absorbing every word, knowing that his guidance was her secret weapon. That night, as she prepared for bed, she thought about the days to come. She understood that being new meant facing challenges, but she also knew that she had an advantage many others did not. She had been trained by someone who understood strategy, discipline, and resilience. Her mind replayed the movements she had practiced, imagining herself executing them flawlessly, always ready, always aware. The next day would bring new tests, new encounters, and perhaps new challenges from the bullies. But she was no longer afraid. She had faced obstacles before, and she knew she could face them again. The first day had been a glimpse into the world she was stepping into, and she was ready to prove herself, not just as a cheerleader, but as someone who could rise above adversity with strength, courage, and intelligence. She drifted to sleep with a sense of calm determination, ready to face whatever the school would throw at her next. The next morning, the new cheerleader woke up feeling a mixture of excitement and determination. She remembered the events of the first day and the subtle tension she had felt from some of the students. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Stay calm, observe, and never let fear control your actions. She knew that today could bring new challenges, especially from the group of bullies who had already taken an interest in her. When she entered the school, she immediately noticed the same group of students waiting by the lockers. They gave her looks that were meant to intimidate, testing her reaction. She took a deep breath, reminding herself to remain composed. Instead of showing fear, she greeted them politely, keeping her voice steady and her posture confident. She could see their expressions shift slightly, their smirks becoming a bit unsure. They were used to people reacting with nervousness, but she was different. During class, she noticed small gestures from the bullies. Subtle nudges, whispered comments, and pointed glances in her direction. She didn't react outwardly. Instead, she observed carefully, noting patterns in their behavior and how they tried to isolate her. She had learned from her father that understanding people was just as important as physical skills. The more she watched, the more she realized that these students were looking for any weakness, any sign that they could use to assert dominance. Lunchtime arrived, and she carried her tray into the cafeteria. She scanned the room, looking for a place to sit. The bullies were already there, sitting with their friends, clearly expecting her to avoid them or choose a different table. She chose a spot near the middle of the room, not too far, not too close. As she sat down, she could feel their eyes on her, but she remained focused on her lunch and her own thoughts. Her calmness made some of the bullies frown, their attempts to unsettle her failing silently. A few of the cheerleaders approached her during lunch, curious about her routines and impressed with her confidence. They asked questions about how she had learned so quickly, and she shared small tips about timing, posture, and focus. Her answers were friendly and humble, showing that she was eager to be part of the team without appearing boastful. Some students began to see her not as a threat, but as someone worth listening to, someone who could contribute to the team's success. The bullies, however, were not giving up. During practice later that afternoon, they began a new tactic. They whispered to each other, exchanged notes, and even tried to block her movements during routines. She had to navigate carefully, adjusting her timing, avoiding collisions, and maintaining her balance. Each obstacle they placed in her path tested her skill and patience. She could feel the tension in the air, but she remembered her father's training. Anticipate challenges, remain alert, and respond with precision. At one point, a bully deliberately tripped her during a turn. She stumbled but quickly regained her balance without showing any sign of frustration or fear. Her quick recovery surprised the others and drew the attention of some teammates who had been watching silently. She realized that showing control in difficult moments was powerful. It not only protected her physically, but also earned a subtle respect from those who witnessed it. The coach noticed the situation and stepped in briefly, reminding everyone to maintain discipline and focus. The bullies quickly backed off, but their smirks remained, as if they were waiting for another chance to test her. She knew the confrontation was far from over. She had to stay vigilant, using both her physical skill and mental awareness to navigate the challenges ahead. After practice, she walked with a few supportive teammates, discussing strategies for the routines and sharing encouragement. Their words lifted her spirits, reinforcing that she was not alone. She realized that even though the bullies were persistent, she had allies who respected her effort and skill. This gave her a renewed sense of confidence and determination to face the bullies without retaliation, only with intelligence and control. Later that evening, she returned home and recounted the day's events to her father. She described the subtle bullying, the tripping, and the whispered insults. He listened carefully, nodding with understanding, and offered advice on staying composed while observing patterns in the bullies' behavior. He reminded her that showing fear or anger would only encourage them, but staying calm and confident would demonstrate her strength and discipline. Her father shared additional techniques that focused on anticipation and situational awareness. He encouraged her to notice small cues, changes in posture, facial expressions, and movement patterns. By predicting the bully's actions, she could avoid being caught off guard and maintain control of any situation. She listened intently, appreciating the practical guidance that went beyond physical skill, emphasizing mental sharpness and self-control. That night, she reviewed her routines and practiced quietly in her room. She visualized the challenges she might face, imagining herself responding with precision and calmness. Her movements were sharp, controlled, and confident. She reminded herself that her father had trained her not just to react, but to anticipate, plan, and execute with clarity. She could feel her skills improving, not just in cheerleading moves, but in how she approached conflict and challenge. Over the next few days, the subtle bullying continued, but she handled each encounter with increasing confidence. The bullies tried new tactics, blocking her path, whispering insults, and trying to provoke emotional reactions. Each time, she remained composed, observing carefully, and responding only when necessary. Her calm demeanor began to change the dynamics. Some students started to notice her strength, both physical and mental, and the bully's power over the environment started to diminish. Her teammates began to trust her more, seeking her advice during routines and sharing strategies to improve synchronization. She found herself becoming a natural leader, not through force, but through skill, composure, and intelligence. The more she practiced, the more confident she became, and the more the bully's attempts to intimidate her seemed futile. She realized that true respect was earned through actions, consistency, and self-control. One afternoon, during a particularly difficult routine, the bullies tried a coordinated effort to trip her again. This time, she anticipated their movement, adjusted her position, and executed the routine flawlessly. The other students watching gasped in surprise. Her teammates whispered encouragement, and even some of the bullies looked taken aback. She had shown that she was not just capable but resilient, and that their attempts to weaken her spirit would not succeed. Walking home that day, she reflected on her experiences. She knew that challenges were not just about physical confrontation, but about mental strength, observation, and strategy. Her father's training had prepared her not only to face bullies but to understand them, to see through their tactics, and to respond effectively. She felt a sense of pride and empowerment, knowing that she was growing stronger with each encounter. At home, her father praised her composure and clever responses. He reminded her that these skills were lifelong tools, useful beyond school and cheerleading. He encouraged her to continue observing, practicing, and refining her approach, not out of fear, but out of a desire to be prepared for any situation. She appreciated his guidance, feeling more confident in her ability to face both the bullies and any other challenges that might arise. That night, as she prepared for sleep, she thought about the upcoming days and the ongoing presence of the bullies. She knew they would continue to test her, but she no longer felt intimidated. She had learned to combine discipline, skill, and strategy to navigate challenges effectively. She drifted to sleep with a calm mind and a determined spirit, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that she was prepared, capable, and in control of her own actions. The following week brought a sense of anticipation and tension. The new cheerleader walked into school each day with the same mix of excitement and determination she had felt on the first day. She knew that the bullies were observing her, testing her reactions, and searching for any sign of weakness. Her father's guidance echoed in her mind. Stay composed, stay aware, and always think ahead. She had learned that even the smallest detail could give her an advantage. During practice, the bullies became bolder. They whispered insults and exchanged sly glances, signaling that they were planning something more aggressive. The cheerleader noticed the subtle changes in their behavior and adjusted her focus accordingly. She paid attention to her surroundings, noting where each person was positioned and anticipating their movements. Her father's lessons in strategy and observation became invaluable as she prepared for whatever the bullies might attempt. One afternoon, the situation escalated. During a complicated routine involving jumps and coordinated formations, one of the bullies deliberately stepped too close, aiming to trip her as she executed a high-flying move. She felt the contact and stumbled slightly, but her training kicked in. She regained her balance quickly, completing the move flawlessly. The other students watching were impressed by her composure. Even some of the bullies appeared surprised. They had underestimated her, expecting a reaction of fear or frustration, but instead, they were met with calm precision. The coach called the team together and reminded everyone of the importance of focus and discipline. The bullies, momentarily frustrated, retreated to the sidelines, but their eyes remained fixed on the new cheerleader. She understood that this was only the beginning. The challenge was not just about executing routines. It was about navigating social dynamics, dealing with intimidation, and maintaining her own confidence in the face of adversity. During lunch that day, the bullies tried another tactic. They cornered her near the cafeteria, asking questions in a tone that sounded friendly but carried a clear threat. She answered calmly, keeping her voice steady and her expressions neutral. She noticed the subtle cues in their body language, the way they shifted their weight, the tightening of their fists, the exchange of glances, and she understood that they were testing her emotional control. She had been trained to observe these signs, to anticipate actions, and to remain composed under pressure. After lunch, she joined her teammates for practice. The bullies attempted to block her movements, bumping into her and whispering distractions. She adapted quickly, adjusting her timing, and using her agility to avoid contact. Each successful maneuver reinforced her confidence and demonstrated to the others that she was capable of handling unexpected challenges. The practice continued with her executing every routine with precision, earning nods of respect from supportive teammates. Later, during a break, she spoke with a few teammates who were impressed with her skills and composure. They shared insights about the routines and offered tips for improving synchronization. She listened carefully, appreciating their advice and building connections with peers who valued teamwork and respect. These interactions strengthened her position within the team and created a support system that helped her face the bullies' escalating behavior. That afternoon, the bullies decided to make their move more direct. As she was performing a jump sequence, one of them stepped into her path, attempting to knock her off balance. She reacted instinctively, shifting her weight and landing safely. The crowd watching gasped in surprise, and her teammates whispered words of encouragement. The bullies' plan had backfired. Instead of intimidating her, they had showcased her skill and composure to everyone around. The lesson was clear. Underestimating her was a mistake. After practice, she walked home with a sense of accomplishment, but she knew the challenge was not over. She discussed the events with her father, explaining the bullies' increasing boldness. He listened carefully, offering advice on anticipating threats and remaining mentally prepared. He emphasized that strength was not just about physical ability, but about awareness, composure, and strategy. She appreciated his guidance, knowing that his experience and training methods were preparing her for more than just school challenges. Over the next few days, she continued to practice both her cheerleading routines and her situational awareness. She reviewed the movements, anticipated potential obstacles, and visualized herself responding with precision and calmness. Her confidence grew with each successful maneuver, and her awareness of the bullies' tactics became sharper. She understood that they would continue testing her limits, but she felt ready to face them without fear or anger. One afternoon, during a particularly complex routine involving lifts and coordinated flips, the bullies tried to disrupt her again. This time, she anticipated their actions, adjusted her positioning, and executed the routine flawlessly. The other students watching were impressed by her control and skill. Even some of the bullies looked frustrated and surprised. She had shown them that their attempts to provoke her were ineffective and that her training and preparation gave her an edge. After practice, she walked with supportive teammates, discussing strategies and encouraging each other. The camaraderie and shared respect strengthened her resolve. She realized that true power came not from confrontation alone, but from preparation, intelligence, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. The bullies were persistent, but their attempts were increasingly futile against her composure and skill. That evening, she returned home and shared the day's events with her father. He praised her strategic thinking and mental resilience, reinforcing the importance of staying alert and calm. He reminded her that challenges would continue, but each successful response built her confidence and skill. She listened attentively, absorbing his guidance and feeling grateful for the foundation he had provided. As she prepared for sleep, she reflected on the week's events. She understood that facing bullies required more than just strength. It required observation, strategy, and emotional control. Her father's training had prepared her for these moments, giving her the tools to navigate difficult situations effectively. She felt a quiet sense of pride and empowerment, knowing that she was growing stronger with each encounter. The next week would bring new routines, new challenges, and likely new attempts from the bullies to test her. But she no longer felt intimidated. She had learned to combine discipline, skill, and strategy, turning potential threats into opportunities to demonstrate composure and strength. She drifted to sleep with a calm and determined mind, ready to face whatever challenges awaited her, knowing that she was capable, prepared, and in control of her own actions. After several weeks of school, the new cheerleader began to feel the weight of the constant attention from the bullies. Each day brought small challenges and subtle acts of intimidation, and she knew that the situation could escalate if she didn't remain vigilant. She had already learned to stay calm, observe, and respond with precision, but she also understood that some lessons could only come from guidance outside of school. At home, she felt safe to share her experiences with the one person who had trained her, her father. That evening, she recounted the day's events in detail. She told him about the bullies' tactics, their whispers, their attempts to trip her during practice, and their persistent efforts to intimidate her. She spoke calmly, but she didn't hide the moments when she had felt tested or caught off guard. Her father listened carefully, nodding with understanding. He didn't express anger or frustration on her behalf. Instead, he focused on giving her tools to handle the situation more effectively, reinforcing the lessons she had already been practicing. He reminded her that true strength came from preparation and awareness. Physical skill was important, but mental sharpness and the ability to anticipate challenges were equally vital. He asked her questions about the bullies' patterns, the timing of their actions, and how she felt when confronted. Her answers revealed her growing understanding of human behavior and her ability to stay composed. He praised her for maintaining control and using observation to guide her responses. Her father then shared more of the techniques he had personally trained her in, showing her that her skills could go beyond self-defense and physical coordination. He taught her how to analyze situations quickly, predict possible outcomes, and choose the best response without overreacting. He emphasized that these lessons were not about retaliation, but about staying one step ahead, maintaining safety, and demonstrating confidence. She realized that this guidance gave her a powerful advantage, both in school and in life. He also spoke about discipline and consistency. He reminded her that mastery of any skill, whether it was cheerleading, self-defense, or strategy, came from regular practice and focus. He encouraged her to review routines, reflect on past experiences, and anticipate future challenges. She understood that each encounter with the bullies was not just a moment of difficulty, but an opportunity to strengthen her abilities and sharpen her awareness. Over the next few days, she implemented her father's advice in school. During practice, she paid close attention to the bullies' movements, noting patterns and timing. She adjusted her routines slightly, ensuring she maintained control even in crowded or chaotic situations. The bullies tried new tactics, but she was ready. By observing carefully and anticipating their actions, she was able to move with agility and precision, avoiding potential disruptions and demonstrating confidence to her teammates. During lunch, the bullies attempted to corner her again. She remained calm, answering their questions with steady politeness while observing their body language. She noted the subtle cues, shifts in weight, glances exchanged, slight tension in posture. These observations allowed her to predict their next moves and maintain composure. Her calm responses frustrated the bullies, who had expected her to react emotionally. Instead, she showed that she was in control, and they could not easily unsettle her. Her teammates noticed her growing poise and skill. They began to approach her for guidance and support during routines, and some even offered encouragement when the bullies tried to interfere. She realized that leadership could come from quiet confidence and steady performance, not just loud or aggressive behavior. Her father's lessons about strategy, observation, and discipline were becoming evident in real-life situations, and she felt a growing sense of empowerment. At home, she continued to practice the routines her father had helped her refine. She focused on perfecting movements, improving timing, and visualizing herself handling challenges effectively. Each practice session strengthened her confidence and reinforced her father's lessons. She also began to think more strategically about the school environment, considering ways to maintain her composure, avoid unnecessary conflict, and respond decisively when needed. Her father also taught her mental exercises to stay calm under pressure. He encouraged her to visualize potential scenarios with the bullies and imagine herself responding with intelligence and control. These exercises helped her feel prepared, even when unexpected situations arose. She realized that mental readiness was just as important as physical skill, and she began to notice improvements in her focus and ability to anticipate challenges. One afternoon, the bullies attempted to disrupt a group routine by blocking her path and trying to distract her teammates. She stayed focused, using her awareness and training to navigate the situation smoothly. Her movements remained precise, and she completed the routine successfully. The other students watching were impressed by her control and skill, and even some of the bullies seemed frustrated by their inability to provoke her. She understood that her father's training had given her the tools to handle these moments effectively. After practice, she shared the experience with her father. He praised her composure and the way she applied her training in real-life situations. He reminded her that challenges would continue, but each encounter was an opportunity to refine her skills and grow stronger. She felt grateful for his guidance and realized that the combination of discipline, observation, and strategy gave her an edge that others might not understand. Over the next week, she continued to navigate the school environment with increased confidence. The bullies tried different tactics, but she anticipated their moves and responded calmly. Her teammates began to see her as a reliable presence, someone who could handle challenges without losing composure. She realized that respect was earned not through aggression, but through consistent performance, awareness, and quiet confidence. In her quiet moments at home, she reflected on her father's lessons and her experiences at school. She understood that true strength involved both mental and physical preparation, that observation and anticipation were powerful tools, and that composure under pressure could turn potential threats into opportunities for growth. She felt proud of her progress and motivated to continue improving, knowing that her training and guidance gave her the ability to face challenges with intelligence and confidence. As she prepared for sleep each night, She visualized herself handling school situations with skill and calmness. She imagined potential confrontations with the bullies and practiced mental strategies to respond effectively. She felt prepared, empowered, and in control. Her father's influence was evident in her growing confidence, her ability to observe and anticipate, and her capacity to handle adversity without fear or anger. By the end of Part 4, she had not only improved her cheerleading skills, but had also developed a stronger sense of self. She understood the value of discipline, strategy, and mental preparedness. She knew that the bullies would continue to challenge her, but she was ready to face them with intelligence, composure, and the confidence instilled by her father's careful training. She felt empowered, knowing that she could handle whatever obstacles came her way, both on and off the cheerleading floor. The days leading up to the big cheerleading competition were filled with tension and preparation. The new cheerleader knew that the bullies were likely planning their most aggressive tactics yet. She had spent weeks observing their behavior, practicing her routines, and preparing mentally and physically. Her father's training had given her the confidence and strategy to anticipate challenges, but she understood that this moment would test everything she had learned. During practice, the atmosphere was charged. The bullies whispered to each other and attempted subtle interruptions, trying to throw her off during difficult lifts and coordinated flips. She remained calm, adjusting her timing and positioning with precision. Each successful execution reinforced her control and demonstrated to both her teammates and the bullies that she was not easily intimidated. Her movements were fluid, sharp, and composed, showing the results of careful preparation and training. The team gathered for a final rehearsal before the competition. The coach emphasized focus, synchronization, and confidence. The new cheerleader listened intently, internalizing every word. She knew that confidence under pressure would be her greatest asset. She felt a sense of quiet determination. The bullies could try to disrupt her, but she would respond with skill and strategy rather than fear or anger. On the day of the competition, the gym was packed with students, parents, and spectators. The energy was electric, and the new cheerleader felt a surge of adrenaline. She noticed the bullies in the crowd, their eyes locked on her with a mix of anticipation and malice. She took a deep breath, recalling her father's advice. Stay calm, observe carefully, and anticipate the next move. She could feel the support of her teammates, who had grown to trust her abilities and leadership. As the team began their routine, the bullies made their move. They attempted to create distractions by shouting, waving their arms, and trying to position themselves in her path during jumps and flips. The new cheerleader maintained her focus, using the awareness and techniques her father had taught her. She anticipated their actions, adjusted her movements seamlessly, and completed each part of the routine with precision. The crowd watched in awe as the team performed flawlessly, despite the attempts to disrupt them. During a particularly challenging formation involving lifts and coordinated spins, one of the bullies lunged to block her. She reacted instantly, shifting her position and maintaining perfect balance. Her teammates supported her, executing their parts with confidence, and the routine continued without error. The bullies' plan had failed. Their attempts to create chaos only highlighted her skill and composure. The audience erupted in applause, and her teammates whispered encouragement, impressed by her control and presence. After the performance, the coach praised the team for their focus and execution. She received nods of respect and congratulatory words from teammates who had witnessed her calm handling of the bullies' interference. The bullies looked frustrated, their efforts to intimidate her having backfired spectacularly. The new cheerleader understood that this moment was not just about winning the routine, but about demonstrating strength, strategy, and composure in the face of adversity. Backstage, she spoke quietly with a few supportive teammates, reflecting on the performance and discussing strategies for future routines. They shared admiration for her ability to stay calm and precise under pressure. She felt a sense of pride, knowing that the combination of her father's training, her own discipline, and teamwork had made this success possible. It was a moment of validation, showing that preparation and composure could overcome even the most persistent attempts to disrupt her. Later that evening, she recounted the events to her father. She described the bully's attempts to interfere, her strategic responses, and the positive reactions from her teammates. He listened with quiet pride, emphasizing the importance of staying consistent, using awareness, and maintaining control in challenging situations. He reminded her that this experience was a valuable lesson in resilience, observation, and strategic thinking, skills that would serve her well beyond cheerleading. In the following days, the bully's behavior began to shift. They realized that intimidation and disruption were ineffective against her composed and strategic approach. The new cheerleader continued to practice diligently, refining routines, observing patterns, and strengthening her confidence. Her teammates increasingly relied on her guidance and leadership, recognizing her skill, composure, and ability to handle challenging situations with intelligence and grace. The new cheerleader also began mentoring some of the less experienced team members, sharing insights on focus, coordination, and composure under pressure. She emphasized the importance of preparation, observation, and staying calm in the face of adversity. Her leadership style was quiet but effective, and her influence began to foster a sense of unity and discipline within the team. She realized that true leadership was not about dominance, but about guidance, support, and the ability to inspire confidence. Throughout this period, she maintained regular communication with her father, seeking advice and reflecting on her experiences. He encouraged her to continue developing both physical and mental skills, reinforcing the importance of strategy, discipline, and resilience. Their conversations strengthened her understanding of personal strength, situational awareness, and the value of preparation. She felt empowered, knowing that her father's guidance had equipped her to face challenges with intelligence and confidence. One afternoon, during an advanced practice session, the bullies attempted a final disruptive tactic. They tried to position themselves strategically to interfere with the new cheerleader's movements, aiming to create mistakes in the routine. She anticipated their actions, adjusted her positioning, and executed every move flawlessly. Her teammates supported her seamlessly, and the routine was completed without error. The bully's efforts were rendered completely ineffective, highlighting her skill, composure, and strategic thinking. The team celebrated their successful practice, acknowledging the new cheerleader's role in maintaining focus and composure. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction, not just for the flawless execution of routines, but for the demonstration of resilience, intelligence, and control in the face of intentional disruption. She understood that this experience would serve as a foundation for future challenges, both in cheerleading and in life. That evening, she reflected on the journey from the first day of school to the culmination of the competition and practice successes. She recognized the growth she had achieved, the lessons learned, and the confidence developed through discipline, observation, and strategic thinking. She felt a sense of empowerment, knowing that she could face adversity without fear, respond intelligently to challenges, and maintain composure under pressure. As she prepared for sleep, she visualized future routines and potential challenges. She practiced mental strategies to anticipate disruptions, maintain focus, and execute movements with precision. Her father's influence was evident in her confidence, composure, and strategic mindset. She felt prepared, capable, and in control, ready to face whatever obstacles might come her way. The ultimate showdown with the bullies had tested her abilities, and she had emerged stronger, more confident, and respected by her teammates and peers. The days following the big cheerleading performance brought a new atmosphere to the school. The bullies, once confident and relentless, had begun to realize that their attempts to intimidate the new cheerleader were ineffective. Her composure, intelligence, and skill had shown them that she was not someone to be underestimated. The respect she earned was quiet but powerful, and it began to shift the dynamics among the students. During practice, the cheerleader continued to demonstrate precision and focus. She executed routines flawlessly, moving with confidence and awareness. Her teammates started looking to her for guidance, especially when the routines became complicated or when disruptions occurred. She offered tips and encouragement, helping others stay focused and confident. Her influence on the team was becoming clear. She was respected not through force, but through skill, leadership, and composure. The bullies still tried occasional disruptions, but their attempts were met with calm responses. She anticipated their moves, avoided unnecessary conflict, and completed every routine with confidence. The other students watching began to recognize her strength, both physical and mental. The bullies, frustrated by their lack of success, started to lose influence over the social environment. They could no longer dictate the mood or control the behavior of others, and the new cheerleader's quiet leadership helped establish a more positive atmosphere. Outside of practice, she continued to build connections with supportive teammates and classmates. They admired her ability to remain calm under pressure and her willingness to help others. She found herself in conversations where her insight and perspective were valued, and she became a trusted member of the school community. These connections provided her with a sense of belonging, reinforcing her confidence and resilience. Her father remained an important source of guidance. Each evening, they discussed her day, analyzing situations and reflecting on lessons learned. He praised her strategic thinking and composure, reminding her that her ability to handle challenges was a result of both preparation and character. He emphasized that strength was demonstrated not by reacting with anger, but by maintaining control, observing carefully, and responding with intelligence. Over the next few weeks, the cheerleader's consistent performance and leadership began to change the perception of her among the students. She was no longer just the new girl. She was someone who had earned respect through discipline, skill, and integrity. Her teammates appreciated her support, her ability to remain focused under pressure, and her guidance during complex routines. Even some of the students who had once been indifferent began to recognize her dedication and talent. One day, the bullies attempted a minor disruption during practice, but it was ineffective. She had anticipated their behavior and adjusted her position and timing accordingly. She executed the routine perfectly, maintaining control and composure. Her teammates nodded with appreciation, and the bullies were left frustrated and silent. It was clear that their attempts to intimidate her had lost power. Her presence and skill had created a new balance within the team, one based on respect rather than fear. The cheerleading competition arrived, and the team was more united than ever. The new cheerleader performed with confidence and precision, executing every move flawlessly. The audience watched in admiration as the team moved as one, guided by focus, preparation, and leadership. Her influence on the team was evident. Their synchronization and confidence reflected her guidance and the respect she had earned. The bullies were present but remained in the background, their previous power diminished by her composure and skill. After the competition, the coach praised the team for their focus, synchronization, and performance under pressure. She received personal acknowledgement for her role in maintaining composure, guiding her teammates, and handling disruptions with intelligence and calmness. The recognition was not just for skill, but for character, leadership, and the ability to inspire others. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing that her efforts had contributed to the success of the entire team. In the following days, the social environment at school continued to improve. The bullies, having lost influence, reduced their disruptive behavior. The new cheerleader continued to support her teammates, sharing insights and helping maintain focus during practice. Her reputation as a composed, skilled, and strategic leader solidified, and students began to approach her with respect and appreciation. She felt a sense of belonging and confidence, knowing that her actions had positively influenced her community. Her father remained proud of her growth. They reflected on the journey from her first day at the school to the culmination of the competition and the shift in social dynamics. He emphasized that the lessons she had learned, discipline, composure, observation, and strategy, were valuable beyond cheerleading and school. She understood that these skills would serve her in many aspects of life, helping her navigate challenges, build relationships, and maintain confidence under pressure. The cheerleader continued to practice, refine her skills, and support her team. She felt empowered, not only by her own abilities, but by the lessons and guidance of her father. She had learned to face challenges with intelligence, composure, and preparation. She had earned respect through her actions, her leadership, and her resilience. The bullies' attempts to disrupt her had become opportunities for growth, and she had demonstrated that true strength comes from control, awareness, and integrity. In quiet moments, she reflected on her journey. She understood that challenges would continue to arise, but she felt equipped to face them with confidence and skill. She had grown not only as a cheerleader but as a person, developing resilience, leadership, and strategic thinking. The experience had taught her that respect is earned through consistent effort, composure, and support for others. She felt proud of her progress and motivated to continue improving. As she prepared for sleep each night, she visualized future routines, challenges, and opportunities to support her teammates. She practiced mental strategies to maintain focus, anticipate disruptions, and respond effectively. She felt prepared, empowered, and confident, knowing that she had the skills, training, and guidance to handle whatever challenges might come her way. Her journey had not only strengthened her abilities, but had also reinforced the importance of discipline, resilience, and leadership in shaping her character and future.